Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is R.S. Raghu bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 21st century India is moving forward with clear roadmap for climate change and environmental protection. India's President Draupadi Murmu holds talks with Suriname President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi at Paramaribo, 3 MOUs signed in agriculture and health sectors between two countries. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh says India-US partnership is critical for free, open and rules-bound Indo-Pacific region. Saudi Arabia to cut oil production by 1 million barrels per day in July this year. UAE to extend oil production cuts by over 140,000 barrels per day until 2024 end. And in shooting, Dhanush Srikanth bags gold in men's 10-meter air rifle at ISSF Junior World Cup in Seoul, Germany. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said India in the 21st century is moving forward with a clear roadmap on climate change and environmental protection. He said India is focusing on the environment in a big way, just like any other area for its growth. He said the government has emphasized green and clean energy in the last 9 years. The Prime Minister shared his thoughts on World Environment Day through a video message at an event in New Delhi.
भारत ने प्रेजेंट रिक्वायरमेंट और फ्यूचर विजन का एक बैलेंस बनाया है। हमने एक तरफ गरीब से गरीब को जरूरी मदद दी, उसकी आवश्यकताओं को पूर्ण करने का भरसक प्रयास किया, तो दूसरी तरफ भविष्य की ऊर्जा जरूरतों को देखते हुए बड़े कदम भी उठाए। बीते 9 वर्षों के दौरान भारत ने ग्रीन और क्लीन एनर्जी पर अभूतपूर्व फोकस किया। सोलर पावर हो, एलईडी बल्बों की ज्यादा से ज्यादा घरों में पहुंच बने, हमारे गरीब और मध्यम वर्ग के पैसे भी बचाए हैं और पर्यावरण की भी रक्षा की है।
The Prime Minister added that while India built 4 crore houses for the poor, there was a record increase in the number of wildlife sanctuaries as well as wildlife in India. Mr. Modi talked about the Jal Jeevan Mission and the construction of 50,000 Amrit Sarovars for water security. He also talked about joining the top 5 countries in renewable energy, increasing agricultural exports and also running a campaign for blending 20% ethanol in petrol. The Prime Minister stated that India has become the base of organizations like the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and the International Big Cat Alliance. The Prime Minister said India has been strongly raising the issue of climate justice with the developed countries. He said for a long time the model of development of advanced countries was contradictory, as the thinking of these countries was to develop themselves first and then think about the environment.
पर्यावरण को लेकर बस ये सोच थी, पहले हम अपने देश का विकास कर लें, फिर बाद में पर्यावरण की भी चिंता करेंगे। इससे ऐसे देशों में विकास के लक्ष्य तो हासिल कर लिए गए, लेकिन पूरे विश्व के पर्यावरण को उनके विकसित होने की कीमत चुकानी पड़ी। आज भी दुनिया के विकासशील और गरीब देश कुछ विकसित देशों की गलत नीतियों का नुकसान उठा रहे हैं। कोई देश नहीं था। मुझे खुशी है कि आज भारत ने ऐसे हर देश के सामने क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का सवाल उठाया है।
During the event, Amrit Dharohar Implementation Strategy and Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes (MISHTI) were launched. World Environment Day is observed to raise global awareness to take positive environmental action to protect nature and the planet Earth. This year, the day marks the completion of 50 years of its establishment. The theme of the World Environment Day this year is Beat Plastic Pollution. India's President Draupadi Murmu held talks with Suriname President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi on Monday. 3 MOUs in health and agriculture sectors were signed between India and Suriname in Paramaribo. President Draupadi Murmu reached Suriname capital Paramaribo on a 3-day visit. She was received at the Presidential Palace by President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi. The First Lady of Suriname, Melissa Santokhi Sinacheri, was also present at the occasion. President Murmu is invited as a chief guest of celebrations marking the 150th anniversary of the arrival of Indians in Suriname. on the 5th of June 1973. Our correspondent covering the visit has filed this report.
The first Indians came to Suriname on 5th of June 1873 as indentured laborers. They arrived via the sea route in the vessel Lallarook. Today, a reenactment of that historic moment was presented before President Murmu. President Murmu also inaugurated a simulated village that showcases how the Indian diaspora has conserved their culture in Suriname. Paying her respect to the immigrated community, President Murmu garlanded the statues of Baba and Mai. The monument depicts a man and a woman who had just arrived in Suriname after a long journey from Calcutta. It is a powerful reminder of the challenges faced by immigrants and their resilience. Later in the day, President Murmu will witness the ceremonial procession from the balcony of the Presidential Palace. For Akashvani News from Paramaribo, Suriname, Himani Rana.
India's Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh on Monday held talks with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in New Delhi. The meeting between the two leaders revolved around enhancing defense cooperation in several areas, including convergence of strategic interests and enhanced security cooperation. Mr. Singh emphasized that India-US partnership is critical for ensuring a free, open and rules-bound Indo-Pacific region. He said India is looking forward to closely working with the US across the domains for capacity building and further consolidating their strategic partnership. The two ministers also explored ways of building resilient supply chains. Both sides will identify opportunities for the co-development of new technologies and the co-production of existing and new systems and facilitate increased collaboration between the defense startup ecosystems of the two countries. Towards these objectives, they concluded a roadmap for US-India defense industrial cooperation, which shall guide the policy direction for the next few years. Both sides reviewed the robust and multifaceted bilateral defense cooperation activities and agreed to maintain the momentum of engagement. They welcomed the inaugural dialogues held recently focusing on defense artificial intelligence and defense space. They also discussed the regional security issues given their shared interest in maintaining peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. The U.S. Secretary of Defense arrived in New Delhi on Sunday on a two-day visit. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval also met U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. The two leaders highlighted cooperation in specific niche technologies in maritime, military and aerospace domains to boost capabilities. They also discussed cooperation in the greater transfer of technology co-production and building indigenous capacities in line with India's Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat initiatives. Another point of discussion between them was ensuring that countries in different regions, West Asia, South Asia and Southeast Asia and Indo-Pacific, retain their freedom of action in line with their national priorities and are not coerced into poor choices. They also agreed to focus on trusted sources of supply, resilient supply chains and greater industry-to-industry partnerships. And now, in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a commentary on a new high in India-Nepal ties. It has been scripted by Manjeev Singh Puri, former Indian ambassador to Nepal.
Prime Minister of Nepal, Pushpakamal Dahal Prachand, paid an official visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Nepalese Prime Minister was accompanied by his daughter, Ms. Ganga Dahal. His high-powered delegation included Nepal Foreign Minister N.P. Saud, Finance Minister Prakash Charan Mahat, Energy and Water Resources Minister Shakti Basnet, and Minister for Physical Infrastructure Prakash Jwala, apart from senior officials of the government of Nepal, business persons, and members of the Nepali media. During the visit, Prime Minister Prachand paid a courtesy call on the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, and met the Vice President, Jagdeep Dhankar. Furthermore, he interacted with captains of Indian industry at an event jointly organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, and the Federation of Nepali Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As is usual, he also met members of the Nepali community in India at a reception being hosted by the Ambassador of Nepal to India. Prime Minister Modi received Prime Minister Prachand at Hyderabad House and held substantive discussions with him, apart from hosting the official luncheon in honor of the visiting dignitary. The two leaders reviewed bilateral relations in depth and pledged to significantly strengthen ties, laying emphasis on economic links, connectivity, and the people-to-people connect. 7 agreements were signed during the visit, and the two prime ministers jointly launched 6 bilateral cooperation projects, including performing the groundbreaking ceremony for another integrated checkpost, another oil pipeline, and another electricity transmission line. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi recalled that when he visited Nepal in 2014, within 3 months of taking over as Prime Minister of India, he had spoken of HIT, Highways, Highways and Transways formula for India-Nepal ties. He was happy that after 9 years, ties were moving towards superhit, with ICPs having been built, an oil pipeline laid, Nepal's first broad gauge rail line constructed, and facilities created for the export of electricity from Nepal to India. Hydropower is Nepal's foremost economic asset. Tapping it and wheeling the power to India would bring game-changing economic benefits to Nepal and help meet India's massively growing demand for electric power. This was even more important in today's times of climate change, where the imperative is to eschew fossil fuel-based energy generation. Nepal, which only a few years ago was importing power from India, is today exporting 450 megawatts of electricity to India. With work on the Arun 3 project proceeding apace, the visit saw matters finalized for the Lower Arun Project 2. All of this would make Nepal a major producer of hydropower in the coming years, and a landmark agreement for the sale of 10,000 megawatts of power to India by Nepal over a 10-year period also reached fruition during the visit. Prime Minister Modi envisioned taking India-Nepal ties to Himalayan heights. Towards that end, the visit of Prime Minister Prachand portends to mark a fresh and upwardly tilted chapter in bilateral relations. A new transit agreement was concluded, which would not only open new rail links in India for Nepal's global trade, but also make available India's waterways. This was a first and one with a very high potential to lower transit costs. Moreover, as Nepal starts developing its railways, its officials will be afforded training in Indian railway institutions. There was also agreement to set up a fertilizer plant in Nepal. Connectivity is to be further boosted through the construction of 2 new bridges at Srisha and Jhulaghat. The oil pipeline system would be enhanced not only through another pipeline, but through extension of the present pipeline to Chitwan and construction of storage depots. A special feature of the new impetus on India-Nepal ties are the steps taken to promote financial connectivity through digital payments. This would hugely benefit students, pilgrims, and even help those seeking medical treatment in India. India-Nepal ties are underpinned by the strongest of people-to-people ties and civilizational links, including religious. It was therefore fitting that Prime Minister Prachand visited Indore and Ujjain after the conclusion of his official talks in Delhi, underscoring the huge energy symbolized by the link between Pashupatinath and Mahakaleshwar.
This is Akashvani, giving you the world news. Saudi Arabia has announced to cut oil production by 1 million barrels per day in July. The announcement came after a meeting of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, in Vienna. However, the extra cuts announced by Saudi Arabia are being done unilaterally. Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman said the cut, which is announced for the month of July, could be extended. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Energy said that it will now produce 9 million barrels of crude oil per day, which is 1.5 million barrels less than it was producing per day earlier this year. The move is considered to be an attempt to prop up oil prices in response to global economic uncertainty and concerns that international demand could drop. The UAE announced that it will extend its voluntary oil output cut by 144,000 barrels per day until the end of 2024. This decision was made in accordance with the agreement reached at the 35th ministerial meeting of OPEC Plus held on June 4th. In a statement, the participating countries of OPEC and non-OPEC countries in the Declaration of Cooperation agreed to adjust the overall crude oil production level for these countries to 40.46 million barrels per day from the 1st of January 2024 until the 31st of December 2024. India's Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, reached Dhaka on Monday for a 2-day visit to Bangladesh at the invitation of his counterpart General S.M. Shafiuddin Ahmed. After his arrival in Dhaka, COAS General Manoj Pandey was given a ceremonial guard of honor. He paid tributes to members of the Bangladesh Armed Forces who made the supreme sacrifice during the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971 by laying a wreath at the altar of Shikha Anirban in Dhaka cantonment. General Pandey called on Bangladesh Chief of Army Staff General S.M. Shafiuddin Ahmad, where issues of bilateral defense relations were discussed to further strengthen the defense ties between the two countries. COAS General Manoj Pandey also held formal interaction with the Principal Staff Officer of the Armed Forces Division of Bangladesh Army. Minister of State for Atomic Energy and Space Dr. Jitendra Singh has said that in the last 9 years, 389 foreign satellites have been launched by India. In an interview with DD News, Dr. Singh said India's space sector is fast gaining a preeminent position in the world. He said the countries which started their space programs long before India, they are now seeking India's services and facilities to launch their satellites.
आज हम उस स्थिति में हैं कि न केवल हमारे इनपुट्स वो देश उपलब्ध करवा रहे हैं बल्कि उनके सैटेलाइट हमारे यहाँ से लॉन्च हो रहे हैं। कभी कल्पना की थी, कभी अनुमान लगाया था आपने कि अमेरिका जैसे सबसे पहला अपना मानव धरती पर चांद की धरती पर उतारा था सन 1969 में, जब भारत अपने आरंभिक चरण में था अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के। आज उसी अमेरिका के सैटेलाइट हमारे यहाँ श्रीहरिकोटा से लॉन्च हो रहे हैं। आज तक जो हमारे 424 देशी सैटेलाइट हुए लॉन्च हिंदुस्तान से, उनमें से लगभग 390 या 389 या 390 मोदी जी के आने के बाद इन 9 वर्षों में हुए, और अमेरिका से जो सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च हुए हैं उसमें से $174 मिलियन भारतीय खजाने में जमा करवाया गया।
He said, apart from the core functioning of rocket launching, India's space applications have become a big source of livelihood opportunities through 130-odd startups after the opening up of the space sector in June 2020. An MP MLA court in Varanasi gave life imprisonment to the jailed gangster turned politician Mukhtar Ansari for the murder of former MLA Avdesh Rai. The court also imposed a penalty of 1 lakh rupees on the 5-time MLA. On 3rd August in 1991, Congress leader Avdesh Rai was shot dead outside his brother and former MLA Ajay Rai's house in Varanasi. Mukhtar Ansari was not an MLA when he committed the crime. And now a report from the business desk.
The Sensex climbed 240 points or 0.38% to finish at 62,787. Nifty advanced 60 points or 0.32% to end at 18,594. Asian stock markets rose, fueled by the positive outlook for the U.S. economy and the possibility of a pause in rate hikes by the Federal Reserve this month after a mixed U.S. jobs report. Japan's Nikkei 225 jumped 2.2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng advanced 0.8%, while Singapore's Straits Times Index climbed 0.7%. South Korea's Kospi rose 0.5%, while China's Shanghai Composite Index appreciated 0.07%. European markets were mixed in intraday trade. Oil prices rose following Saudi Arabia's decision to cut production by 1 million barrels per day in July. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $77.48 a barrel. Back home, gold prices at multi-commodity exchange for August contracts were trading at around 59,390 rupees per 10 grams. On the other hand, silver was trading at 71,470 rupees per kilogram for July contracts, and in the forex market, the rupee closed at 82 rupees and 67 paise against the US dollar. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for World News Akashvani.
Dhanush Srikanth has won the men's 10-meter air rifle on day 3 of the ongoing International Shooting Sport Federation ISSF World Cup Junior, giving India their 3rd gold of the competition so far. Dhanush posted 249.4 in the 24-shot final to leave Swed Pontuskallen a clear 1.3 points behind in a clinical display. India also bagged a bronze in the skeet mixed team competition when Harmihar Lali and Sanjana Sood defeated Swedish pair of David Johnson and Felicia Ross. India lead the medal tally with 3 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze medals ahead of the USA, which has 2 gold medals and 1 silver thus far. Abhinav Shaw and Gautami Bhanot had won 2nd gold for India They defeated French pair of Ocean Mueller and Romain Offrier in the final of 10-meter air rifle mixed team event. On Saturday, Chandigarh youngster Sanyam had a golden start in Seoul by finishing atop the podium in the individual women's 10-meter air pistol competition. Sanyam and Abhinav Chaudhary got silver after losing to the Korean pair of Kim Yuri and Kim Kang-yoon in the final of 10-meter air rifle mixed team event. Suruchi Inder Singh and Shubham Bisla had won their bronze medal match over Uzbekistan's Nigina Saidkulova and Mohammad Khamalov. In the French Open, tennis star Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Elina Svitolina and Aryna Sabalenka have advanced to the quarters at Roland Garros. World number 1 Iga Swiatek is facing Ukraine's Lesia Surenko in the fourth round. In the fourth round of men's singles, Serbian third-seeded Djokovic defeated Peru's Juan Pablo Varillas 6-3, 6-2, 6-2 to reach a record 17th French Open men's quarter-final, moving ahead of Rafael Nadal. Djokovic is also aiming to overtake Nadal by winning a record 23rd Grand Slam men's singles title. He will face Russian Karen Khachanov in the final 8 in Paris. 11th-seeded Khachanov progressed to his third consecutive Grand Slam quarterfinal by registering victory over unseeded Italian Lorenzo Sonigo 1-6, 6-4, 7-6, 6-1. World number 5 Stefanos Tsitsipas beat Austria's Sebastian Ofner in straight sets 7-5, 6-3, 6-0. He will now face world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinals. Spain's Alcaraz has won against 17th-seeded Lorenzo Musetti of Italy 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. In women's singles fourth round, Ukraine's Elina Svitolina beat Russian 9th-seeded Daria Kasatkina 6-4, 7-6, 7-5 to reach the last 8. She will play second seed Aryna Sabalenka after the Belarusian beat American Sloane Stephens 7-6, 6-4. Russia's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova fought back from a set down to beat Belgian 28th seed Elise Mertens 3-6, 7-6, 6-3. Pavlyuchenkova will play Karolina Mushova in the quarterfinals. US 6th seed Coco Gauff and Tunisian 7th seed Ons Jabeur will also aim for a place in the last 8. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Financial Times reports new World Bank chief under pressure as Bridgetown initiative seeks $100 billion. South China Morning Post writes US-Taiwan envoy urges Beijing to keep communication lines open to avert conflict. The Washington Post says National Transportation Safety Board to begin crash investigation after sonic boom heard across DC. The Globe and Mail writes fighting escalates in Sudan's capital after ceasefire expires. The Straits Times reports Estonia opens business hub in Singapore, offering gateway to Nordic-Baltic economies. The Guardian reports genetically modifying T-cells cuts blood cancer progression by 74%, trial finds. And Le Monde writes controversy surrounds climate negotiations as oil group CEO appointed COP28 president. The US Navy has released a video of what it called an unsafe interaction in the Taiwan Strait, in which a Chinese warship crossed in front of a US destroyer in the sensitive waterway. A risky incident amid deteriorating Sino-US ties. The encounter comes as both countries have traded blame for not holding military talks, with disagreements between the two over everything from trade and Taiwan to Ukraine, and raises the specter of future face-offs that could spiral out of control. The U.S. military said the USS Chang-hoon, a destroyer, and Canada's HSMC Montreal, a frigate, were conducting a routine transit of the strait on Saturday when the Chinese ship cut in front of the U.S. vessel, coming within 150 yards or 137 meters. In the video released by the U.S. Navy on Sunday, a Chinese warship can clearly be seen sailing across the path of Chang-hoon in calm waters. Chang-hoon does not change course. China's imports are expected to have contracted in May, despite a low base last year as a lockdown in Shanghai brought the country's biggest port to a standstill, while exports likely fell for the first time in 3 years. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 21st century India is moving forward with clear roadmap for climate change and environmental protection. India's President Draupadi Murmu holds talks with Suriname President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi at Paramaribo. 3 MOUs signed in agriculture and health sector between the two countries. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh says India-US partnership is critical for free, open and rules-bound Indo-Pacific region. Saudi Arabia to cut oil production by 1 million barrels per day in July this year. UAE to extend oil production cuts by over 140,000 barrels per day until 2024 end. And in shooting, Dhanush Srikanth bags gold in men's 10-meter air rifle at ISSF Junior World Cup in Seoul, Germany. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Suriname. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.